tag team title matchup in which Beer Money took on the Wolves in what was, I honestly saw as the match of the night. Sorry, Kurt and Lashley, but Beer Money versus the Wolves was just too amazing, too great to pass up. You look at everything that went down in this matchup, it was just amazing. They talked about the heritage and everything that went through with the Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, how they both started up as guys in England, and then they really just were feuding together. They were great tag team champions, and then finally when they became a team together, they just really blew it out of the park. Same thing with Beer Money, talking about how they both were world champions and how they were just some of the greatest tag team wrestling that they've seen from these guys. Then we saw them just hitting out, but it ended with Beer Money winning the tag team titles again in what I believe was a cash-in for their Feast or Fired briefcase. I'm not quite sure about that. They didn't really talk about it that much. I think they just said, I don't know if they said they should keep that or if they should do something else. But either way, I think that the Feast or Fired briefcase for that is done. I believe so. Throughout the night, they actually showed a lot of Kurt Angle career highlights, including his matchups with Samoa Joe, him winning the TNA title for the first time, his matchup with Lashley, his matchup with Drew Galloway, so many different highlights, which culminates to the main event, Lashley versus Kurt Angle. And this matchup, again, it was good, but I think that their matches could have been so much better. They had Lashley hitting spear after spear, Kurt Angle hitting the angle slam, locking in the ankle lock, just doing so much going into this matchup, and it was still a good matchup to say the least. Lashley hit a third spear after Kurt Angle hit his shoulder on the ring post for the 1-2-3. Lashley finally gets his redemption against Kurt Angle, and at the end we see Lashley hugging Kurt, holding his hand up in victory, but then, bam, Lashley hit Kurt Angle in the face with a straight punch, and he was beating down, and he just leaves Kurt lying until Drew Galloway came out, and he said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And Lashley's just like, "Okay, I'll back up." Drew checks on Kurt, but then gets speared by Lashley. I believe it was Eddie Edwards came out, got speared by Lashley as well. Lashley hit a spear again on Kurt Angle, fully turning heel, and I think that he's going to be a better heel than Matt Hardy. I will say that right now. But this also drew out Ethan Carter III. EC3 came out in, oh my gosh, the way that Ethan Carter came out, I don't know if he was still selling like the injuries that happened last week with him and Spud, or if something was up his butt, but he was just walking really weirdly, like his legs were just locked and he was just walking like he was like a little toy soldier, or a penguin if it had really long legs. But it was just really weird how he just came out walking. But it was still cool to see the confrontation between Lashley and EC3. Lashley finally left the ring. EC3 checked on Kurt Angle. That's how the show ended. All in all, this show was just not as good as what it could have been. The only good segments that were on the show were Will Ospreay, Jimmy Havoc, Bram, the Mike Bennett, Drew Galloway segment, the tag team title match, and then the confrontation between EC3 and Lashley. Those were the good things of the show. All in all, it was maybe like 3-4 stars at least. Not as good as what it could have been. Gonna talk now about NXT last night. I somehow think I got like an earlier recording of the show. I don't know why, but I just felt like my tweets were coming in earlier than everybody else's. But regardless, the whole entire show was based on one matchup, and that was Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe in the 2 out of 3 falls match. The winner faces Finn Balor for the NXT Championship at TakeOver Dallas. This matchup was really good to say the least. And some people were saying that there's some parts that were boring, there's some parts that were just not as exciting. Honestly, it was the perfect pace for this matchup, because these guys, you can't just, have them go fast paced, all in all, pillar to post, everything like that. You have to give them time to at least rest a little bit. But this matchup was still really good, to say the least. You saw the best of Sami Zayn, you saw the best of Samoa Joe. It was still good in my opinion. The fact that they gave him the entire show to do it really shows you how much confidence they have in Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe. This matchup, again, saw Sami Zayn doing his high flying moves. We saw Samoa Joe hitting his ground and pound technical style. First fall was hit by Joe after Joe used his corner rock bottom deal, where his opponent comes running and then Samoa Joe grabs him and just slams him to the ground. He puts up Sami Zayn on the top rope, hits the muscle buster. 1, 2, 3. Samoa Joe gets the first fall, and the announcers really made it. Kyle Edwards and Corey Graves, they made it seem like he won the first fall, therefore he's going to win the entire deal. Until Sami Zayn was able to find a way to just swiftly catch Samoa Joe with the Koji clutch, and Samoa Joe taps out for the first time in his NXT career. First time I've seen him tap out in a long time. I mean, it takes a lot to make Samoa Joe tap out. I think the only time he's really tapped out was against Kurt Angle. And some people might say, well, no, he tapped out to Bobby Lashley at Bound for Glory. I'm not going to count that. That was a really bad match. This was a matchup where, where he submitted. It was almost like, I could almost compare it to, what was that matchup? It was a matchup in Mexico. It was Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr versus, I think, El Hijo del Santo and Octagon, I believe it was. And I remember it was a 2 out of 3 falls matchup there. It was Mask versus Hair, I believe. And it was a really good matchup. If you ever get a chance, guys, check out that matchup. But it was basically how you could see it. There's a point where Art Barr actually submits to Octagon, and that's how it felt like with this matchup with Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn, where didn't know what was going to happen. Samoa Joe taps out, and it's like, whoa, did that just happen? Holy cow! So again, we go into basically sudden death between these guys, because it's the final pinfall deal. We see them we see Sami Zayn hit his high flying deal, and we also see Sami Zayn hit his DDT that he does through the bottom turnbuckle deal. I always love that move. I think it's just amazing the way he's able to just speed through that bottom spot in the turnbuckle corner and then just hit a DDT. Love that move. Samoa Joe tries. Actually, Sami Zayn goes for the haluva kick. Samoa Joe counters. In the end, we see Samoa Joe. No, actually, before I get into that, Samoa Joe actually got locked in into a Koji clutch. Not the Koji clutch. The Coquina clutch. There we go. The Coquina clutch by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn locked in Samoa Joe's own submission maneuver on him, and that was one of those moments I'm like, holy shit, that is awesome. The matchup in the end saw Samoa Joe hit the Coquina clutch and lock it in. Sami Zayn had no choice. He passed out with the pain. Samoa Joe is your number 1 contender for the NXT Championship. So it's Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor 2 at TakeOver Dallas. Looking forward to that matchup. I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag-about brawl. And I'm interested in seeing what they do with the whole demon deal. So basically what they so far have for NXT TakeOver Dallas, they have Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin. They have Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor. I know that they're rumoring to having Bayley versus Asuka. They have a rumored tag team title matchup coming up, and no, that's not the one versus Enzo and Cass. That's happening at Roadblock, which I'll get into later on in the show. And then they also, I'm thinking they had one more. I think they had another one that's going to feature Sami Zayn, but don't quote me on that. So, looking forward to seeing how that matchup goes. I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. So, I'm going to take a short, quick break, and going to talk about how WWE should book Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania. The first part of how WWE should book, going from Roadblock to Mania. Let you guys know about that in just a bit, as well as talking about Roadblock in and of itself. But before I do, guys, I have an exclusive offer for you guys from ajsbelts.com. You definitely do not want to miss out on this opportunity, because this goes until March 20th at 11 p.m. Central Time. It is a deal in which you can purchase a Premier World title belt, a Premier U.S. title belt, or the Premier MMA title belt. If you buy one of those belts, guys, and if you tell them, comment to them that you listen to this podcast, Pro Talk Wrestling, then you will get $100 back on your purchase, guys. This is a limited time deal, so be sure to take advantage of it. Again, if you are looking at a Premier World title belt, a Premier U.S. title belt, or the Premier MMA title belt that they have, check them out. And if you purchase them and you mention Pro Talk Wrestling, you will get $100 back on your order. So definitely take a look into that, guys. And this deal you can only get here on Pro Talk Wrestling. Welcome back to Pro Talk Wrestling. I am your host, Nate the Effin' Great, and we are here talking about so many different things. But right now, going to talk about Roadblock, as well as how WWE should book Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania. So let's talk a little bit about Roadblock. In theory, so far, we have a few matches already confirmed. One including Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. I'm hoping that they do something really good with this matchup. We have Dean Ambrose challenging for the WWE World Heavyweight title. We have the tag team titles. New Day defending against Sheamus and Bad News Barrett. And also we will see the NXT Tag Team Championship match, I should say. As we will see the Revival taking on Enzo and Big Cass for the titles. This is going to be a very interesting event, to say the least, and I am actually going to go more into my predictions this Saturday, so be sure to tune into that, because then I'll have the final card and I'll know, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen. But going into Roadblock, there is so much potential that they could do with this event, because they have so much to make up for when it comes to what happened at Fastlane. So how can they really do that, though? Well, there's only one way that you can do it, and that's really get Roman Reigns something more. I mean, the fact that they're really putting Roman Reigns in cities that are not, with smart fans, I can understand that. But you have to still work through that deal. And there's still one way that you can really do that. You have to turn Roman heel. So here is how I would book Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania 32. WWE, try and please do it better. So let's go right into Roadblock. Originally, it seemed like they were going to have Roman Reigns versus Sheamus at Roadblock, but thankfully, That doesn't seem to be the case. So instead, I would put Roman Reigns against